Welcome back. Number one Cochran Sports Showdown rolls on. We talked about the run game, both sides. The Steelers have given up almost 400 yards rushing combined in the last 2 games, and they won both those games. But on the other side of it, they've only run for 173 over the last 2.5 games. That's less than a 3.5 per carry average. So, Jeff Hathhorn, that leads to this situation. Rich brought it up in the last segment. Mike Tomlin has a chance to kick a field goal that would have made it an 8-point game and forced Dallas to not only drive the length of the field to score, but also get the 2-point conversion. Boswell is pretty clutch, you would think, with 32 yards. He chose not to do that. And then the run play was a sweep or, going to the outside as opposed to going straight ahead. Your thoughts on both of those decisions? Number one, I would have kicked the field goal. I would have done it that way and made them move down the field and do both. But that play call itself, did you like it?
I hated the play call because it was such a slow-moving play, and it's not like they've been proficient. I mean, I get it. You know, you get DeCastro out, and you're trying to make something happen. You got Vance McDonald, who's a good blocker, but, man, that's too much of a slow-moving play. As for going for the field goal, I get what Mike Tomlin's saying. They struggled on field goal protection. They missed 2 extra points, which is in around the same range as that field goal would be. But what happened to not living in your fears? You kick it, you go up 8. You don't live in your fears. You kick the field goal. You take the chance because, man, as Richie said, they're hanging on the edge on that last play in a game they never should have been. And if at least it's 8 points, at least you're feeling the worst case scenario is your overtime instead of wondering if you're going to win the game.
You know, the play call was dumb, I thought. I mean, wrong personnel. That's what I don't like about this. Maybe with like a Le'Veon Bell or do a sweep with someone else. I didn't like the 4th down play call. I don't mind them going for the 4th down and trying to win the game. I like being aggressive like that, but it made total sense to kick the field goal there. Even if it's blocked or something bad happens, it's still a 5-point game, and if it's blocked, you're going to more than likely the Cowboys are going to get the ball there anyways. Or you have a chance to make them drive the field and get a 2-point conversion just to get into overtime. The field goal made sense. I don't mind being aggressive, but I didn't like the play call.
I have absolutely no issue with him going for it there until he said the reason why he went for it there, because he was afraid it might get blocked. Are you absolutely kidding me here? Is this what we're – and then he goes on to say that he didn't want to do any in-game tweaking with the offensive line or the field goal block. Are you kidding me here? You tell the guy, hey, stand up a little bit. Don't let that guy run in. It's not that difficult of an adjustment to make on the fly. So I don't have any problem. I have the problem with the reason why, and I do have the problem with the play call as well. To me, put it in your quarterback's hands. Win it that way. Don't run a slow-moving play. Like you said, a pulling play. It is pretty effective, but he's usually effective left to right, not right to left, to a guy like Gerald Hawkins' side who was in there as a 3rd tight end. Man, if you go for it and you don't get it, then if Mike Tomlin comes out and says, okay, you know what, I rely on my defense to hold him, I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with, well, it might get blocked. I just thought that was a ridiculous answer, and I don't think he believes that either.
Bob, did you like it? Bob, what was your opinion on the play call?
No, I said I would have kicked the field goal, period. The play call I didn't like at all, but I did like Connor in there as opposed to what we saw in the first half when McFarland's driving up the middle. He's not that kind of tackle-to-tackle guy, and then you had Snell, who hasn't been very good here either. James Conner's supposed to be the bell cow. In the 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, he should have been in there. I didn't have a problem with him in that. I didn't like the play going wide left. That's the only thing. Now, Rich, back to you. 386 yards allowed in 2 weeks. I know Mike Hilton's not in there, and tonight Tyson Alualu was not in there. That's big. Those guys are good in the middle of the field and with tackling, but still, 386 is 386. Where are the problems, and how do they change those problems? Because teams are going to look at this and say, okay, guys are running on the Steelers. Let's try to do the same.
Yeah, that's the strength of this team, and I think Tyson Alualu is the big loss here. Once he comes back, I think they'll be a little bit better. Also, I mean, losing a guy like Devin Bush, I mean, they have injuries right up the middle there. It's really hurting this team. As mad, I know everyone in this town loves Robert Spillane now, but he's not Devin Bush. And when Avery Williamson gets out there and is playing, I think you might see a little bit of an upgrade. I mean, guys getting to the edges and things like that. But the middle now, I think Tyson Alualu is a big issue there. But I think injuries caused the problems the last two weeks.
I think it's people trying to do too much on the defensive line to replace a guy like Tyson Alualu. I mean, there's people out of their gaps which are not thus creating the long runs. I believe they have 10 or 11 runs of 15 yards or longer since the Devin Bush injury. Some of that has to do with Spillane. A lot of that has to do with the play of Tyson Alualu and people filling in there. We had 7th-round pick Carlos Davis in there at times today. You had Isaiah Buggs trying to block it up. And that was an issue last week where he got out of his gap and you were able to gash him. So I think it's a little bit of everything. And then it's also Mike Hilton not being in there. He's a great run stopper as well. You get those guys back, it's probably going to be better. But I'm thinking, when do you go to Avery Williamson? Maybe he is better than Robert Spillane, because Spillane is – I think he's plateaued a little bit. I think I would like to see the other guy in there to see what he has. Then you can make the decision. That could be the cure-all right there.
All right, Jeff, hold on to your thought. We're going to take a break. We're up against it. We will talk about that when we come back. We're also going to talk about the next opponent, which is the Cincinnati Bengals. That's all coming up right here, live on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.